Hello, teachers. I am Chris Coffey, Instructional Technology Coach. I'm doing what a lot of you are doing right now, which is kind of self-quarantining, just kind of staying isolated. Schools are closed, and if you haven't heard the news already, we are closed all the way through April 30th. So I've gotten some emails and some text messages and stuff, teachers wanting to know what kind of resources were out there, and I'm going to be putting some videos on our school channel or our district channel to kind of help with that. But before we get into the complications of what programs to use and what are some cool digital assignments and all of that stuff, I really just want to go back to the basics. And I'm not going to spend a long time on this video, but I do want to point out that digital instruction is just good instruction. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to be overwhelmed going like, I don't know computers, I don't know internet, I don't know all this other stuff. Good instruction is good instruction, whether it's on the computer or in a classroom, doesn't matter. The principles are all the same. With that being said, I am going to focus on a couple tips that might help you if you're having trouble coming up with some assignments or some instruction. And I do want to stress the word instruction. As of right now for Bamberg School District 1, the work is being sent home in packets, and that's the official assignments. However, if you wanted to look at your Google Classroom or online resources as optional work or as tutoring, that's the official district stance as of right now. Because of the extension of the closings, we may be changing that, but as of the 24th, it's 5 o'clock on March 24th. As of right now, all digital instruction should be optional. It should be resource-based, at least for Bamberg School District 1. If you're in another district, I work with Bamberg 2 as well. They're using some things already online, and some districts are going completely online. So if you're watching this and you're in another district, refer to your district policy or talk to your principal before you start posting things. Okay, so with that disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this because it's going to be short, but I hope it's useful because, like I say, people who aren't used to computers and digital assignments, they get lost in the technology and forget about just good instruction. So my 3 basic tips for better digital instruction: 1, make your students answer questions, not Google. Be very clear about what you want students to do, and digital instruction doesn't always have to be digital. So let's look into that. The first one, if you get a worksheet off the internet and give it to your students, guess what? Your students can go on there and find the worksheet just like you did. And if it has an answer key, they're done. If all they have to do is quickly search in a key phrase into Google and they get the answer, they're done. They're not really learning. It's not good instruction. So I'm giving you kind of an example here. I took one of the U.S. history standards, one of the things I used to teach. Summarize the impact of technology changes and social developments on the U.S., including the Civil War during the period of 1815 to 1865. So a question, here's a starting question. I see this all the time in classrooms and on quizzes and all these other things. A very simple recall question, low level thinking. What is the best friend of Charleston? If I copy and paste this into Google, I have the answer in about 2 seconds. I really haven't learned anything. I haven't really got into anything other than what is the best friend of Charleston. I know it's like defining words. Hopefully that's not the kind of assignments you're sending home. Having kids define words, they can look words up. That's easy enough. Can they do something with it? Do they really understand the meaning of it? That's where we want to go. So let's go down to the next question. What impact did the railroad have on South Carolina's economy? Okay, well, we're pulling in some of this thing, the standard impact of technology, impact on technology in the economy specifically. The kids have to look that up a little bit more. However, I guarantee you 5 seconds on, Wikipedia or another website, they can find a pretty decent answer and they're going to want to copy and paste. So then you spend a lot of time trying to figure out whether or not they copied, plagiarized. So better, but I think we can do better. This last one. Imagine that you're a passenger on the best friend of Charleston. Write a letter to a friend telling them what it's like. Make sure to include information about what kind of cargo is on the train. What are the passengers like? And what does having this new technology mean for South Carolina? If a kid can write a paragraph or even a page with that kind of information, it definitely shows that they are getting the grasp of the impact of technology. So as you can see, it's not something they can Google. If they Googled a letter from a friend, if somebody actually posted answers like this online, it'd be easy enough to find. But realistically, every answer is going to be different. So it really gives you the ability to kind of read through students' work and see whether or not they've mastered the content. And it really does show much better understanding for the standard than this first question of what was the best friend of Charleston. So there's that one. Let's go ahead and go on to the second tip. Be very clear about what you want your students to do. I know our teachers know how to use rubrics, so I'm not going to go into in-depth explanation here. I will point out a couple things. One, you can be very clear without having 20 categories, with 3 columns each. If you're a checklist teacher and you don't like rubrics, just fill in the middle, and then you can write off notes to the sides, or you can have conference with students to the side, and go like, okay, where did you do better than what I expected or worse than I expected? That works. But keep it simple. 2 or 3 categories are usually enough to really stick to your must, your non-negotiables, those things that you have to cover in an assignment. So keep that in mind. The other thing I want to point out is Google Classroom just recently added rubrics to Google Classroom. So if you are doing digital assignments, you can add that rubric right in there, then reuse it with other assignments. So that makes it really nice too. But just make sure you're clear, because if I go back and say, write a letter. Well, I give some specifics, what's on the car, what's the cargo, what's the passengers, what does it mean for South Carolina? But if I'm looking for specific vocabulary, I need to let the students know that letter needs to include this, this, and this as far as vocabulary. Am I grading for grammar? If I am, then I need to put down specifically what am I grading. I like to use professional as a catch-all. Professionalism is just one way to say, hey, was it done to the best of your ability? Other people might use the word agency or quality, but I use the term professionalism. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say about the second tip. Lastly, digital instruction doesn't always have to be digital. This is where you can throw in the creative projects and activities for students. That can be, artistic drawing or painting. It can be music, like create a song. It can be creating, give a speech or have a debate. Those kind of things. It doesn't always have to be like, oh, my kids have to create a website, or my kids have to do, a PowerPoint or something on Google. Just because you're giving instruction on the computer doesn't mean the assignment or the instruction itself has to be digital. Now, with that being said, I do want to point out, be careful. Things like painting. If I told the students to paint a picture or draw a picture of the best friend of Charleston, that really doesn't meet the standard. That's not summarizing the impact of technology. It's just a time filler, and it might be fun. The kids might get involved, but it doesn't really meet the standard. However, if I got the kids to write a song about the importance of the best friend, or maybe even its explosion, that could be a good, lot of good folk songs based on history and stuff. So that's a good one. If I said, hey, come up with a script for a commercial that you're going to act out in front of your classmates when we get back, a commercial for the Best Friend Express. Why is it important? What kind of cargo, what kind of clientele are you looking for? That meets the standard. Now, if you said, hey, I want you to design a website for the Best Friend Express and give them specifics on what you're looking for, that works. It can be a digital assignment, but it doesn't always have to be a digital assignment. So keep that in mind. I know I've gone through this fairly quickly, and some of this really is just basic pedagogy, but I do want to point out, going back to this, good digital instruction is nothing more than good instruction. We have some great teachers, and those of you who are trying to do things from home while we're gone, we appreciate all the work and effort and just everything you're doing to make sure that our students aren't getting left behind. So thank you so much. If there's anything I can do, please feel free to email me, and thank you for watching.